Yo, what is going on, everyone? It is B-RAD the man here, and welcome back to another video here on my channel. Now, this is a little bit different from what I have been putting out recently with game videos. This is going to be ranking every NFL team who I think will do good in the 2022-2023 season from worst to best. Essentially, I'm going to take the rosters as they are right now, and I'm going to make my judgment on who I think will be either a Super Bowl contender, a Super Bowl champion, or it could be the worst team in the NFL. If you want to see more of these kinds of videos, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new, and also check out my all the links in the description for all the other things that I may end up doing. My Twitter, my Discord, my Twitch channel. I stream there most nights, mostly every night. But yeah, so here we are. We got the categories here. So Super Bowl bound, these are teams that I think are going to make the Super Bowl. We also got playoff teams. This is going to be one where, including Super Bowl bound, obviously there are 14 teams that can make the postseason. Basically anyone that I don't think is actually going to go to the Super Bowl will just be in playoff teams here. We got just playoff short, essentially teams I think will at least put up a challenge of making the postseason. Average, these are just teams that I think are probably going to go about even, maybe like 9-8, 8-9, 7-10, somewhere around there. We got a spoilers category here. These are teams I think are probably going to have a losing record, but I think these are teams that could potentially beat postseason teams. And then we got bad. These are just teams I think are just not going to do anything at all. And then the number one draft pick, obviously these are just teams I think are just going to be absolutely horrendous. I'm only going to put one team in here, but I do have a couple of ideas. So we'll start off with the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are, I think, going to make the postseason, but I think they're going to scrape by, mostly because they're still in a tough division. They're in the division with the 49ers. They're in the division with the defending champs, the Rams. So you're talking potentially anywhere between 2 to 4 losses right there. But I think compared to the rest of the NFC, I think they will make the postseason. But I think it's going to end up being somewhat similar to what happened last year, where they're either going to do really good and then fall apart, or they'll just kind of float by throughout the rest of the season. So I think Arizona is a postseason team, but I don't think they're going to be going to the Super Bowl, at least this year. The Atlanta Falcons. I won't lie to you. I don't really know who the quarterback's supposed to be. I don't know the quarterback's situation there. I don't know how good their offensive line is supposed to be. I know they have like two or three pieces on defense that are supposed to be good, but nothing else that's really there. So the Falcons, they really don't have that much out there in terms of production on the offense. I mean, yes, they have Cordell Patterson. Yes, they have Kyle Pitts. Yes, they have Drake London, who they just drafted. But Kyle Pitts only has one touchdown in his career so far, and that was in London. I think he's going to have a good year. He's going to have a better year, especially now that Calvin Ridley has been suspended. But you also don't have, as of right now, a quarterback that has proven to be starting caliber. So I think all in all, the Falcons are going to be bad. I think they might even be close to pushing number one draft pick. I don't think they will, but I think they're going to be a top 5 or a bottom 5 team in the NFL in 2022. The Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens are a tricky team, and I will say the Ravens, when they are healthy, are one of the fiercest teams in the NFL, as long as Lamar Jackson is on his game. But they also are kind of, outside of Mark Andrews, they're not really having a whole lot of like good targets. I mean, the running game is good, the line is good, the defense is still pretty solid, all things considered. Baltimore, I think, will make the postseason, but I don't think they're going to win the AFC North. But I will say right now, I think Baltimore could be a sneaky threat to possibly go deep into the postseason. Will they make the Super Bowl? I don't think so. But Baltimore's a sneaky team that I think could do well in the postseason, just in general. Buffalo just has everything. They have a great offense. They have a great defense. They just have a lot of good things to them. Top to bottom, I think they are probably the most complete team. Carolina is a puzzling team to me. They have pieces. They have a lot of good things on their roster. Like, the defense is not that bad. The offense is not that bad either. Like, they were honestly last year on a pretty solid streak in the beginning of their season, and then they just fell apart because they had no quarterback play. I think Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback than people are giving him credit for. I mean, I think he's proven enough that if you give him somewhat of a decent line, like, he can still do something in terms of like making your team good. And they got Christian McCaffrey. Hopefully he'll come back healthy. DJ Moore is proven to be a solid number one. They don't have everything like figured out. I don't think they have a good coaching staff, and that's what's throwing them off. I don't think they're gonna do that good, because like I said, Matt Rule is just not a good coach. I don't think he has not proven himself to be a good coach. So I'm gonna put Carolina. I don't think they're gonna have a winning record, but I think they have a chance to potentially spoil some other teams' records. They're very unpredictable, but I'm gonna put them in as spoilers for now. I'm hesitant to put them in bad. I would put him in bad if Baker's not the starting quarterback. If Sam Darnold is the starting quarterback, they're bad. But with Baker, I think they can at least be spoilers. The Chicago Bears. Now, this is the one that's going to hurt me a little bit because I am a Packer fan. Chicago's one of those puzzling teams to me. I think they always find a way to at least win one sneaky game and ruin somebody else's chances. I think Chicago will at least have somewhat of a decent record. I don't want to put them in average, though, because let's be honest, that defense is not that good. They just got rid of Khalil Mack, and outside of Eddie Jackson in the secondary, I could not tell you who's all on that starting defense otherwise. Oh, and the offense is just not that great anymore either. I mean, they have David Montgomery. They improved the line a little bit, but they just did not add anything. If Darnell Mooney is supposed to be your starting wide receiver, and then N'Keal Harry is supposed to be your like second or whatever they're planning on doing, I don't think they're gonna do that good. But I think they're gonna be able to pull off a couple of sneaky wins, because they played Green Bay twice, they played Minnesota twice, they have a bunch of other teams that on the schedule that could do good, and I think they might be able to pull off like one or two sneaky wins in there. But I don't think they're gonna have a winning record. Cincinnati. This is kind of an obvious one. All they did last year with low expectations was go to the Super Bowl and nearly won. And all they did in this offseason was get better. They improved the offensive line. They got their defense back. The only thing I think that Cincinnati is missing is a solid secondary, because there's no way on God's green earth should Eli Apple be the starting cornerback. But if they find a way to make all that work, I think Cincinnati will have a legitimate shot of winning, of potentially going to the Super Bowl again, depending on if they can beat Buffalo. I think Cincinnati is probably the one team right now that I'm going to put in playoff teams that will probably have a more legitimate chance of going to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to say right now, Cincinnati is probably going to be the closest to making the Super Bowl but I'm not going to put them in Super Bowl bound yet. Cleveland, it's really dependent on Deshaun Watson. Outside of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and Kareem Hunt might not even be on the team too much longer because he's wanting to get traded out. I don't think they really have that much on offense, and their defense outside of Myles Garrett is decent. But like I said, it's really dependent on if they have Deshaun Watson for any of the season or not. I'm gonna say right now, assuming that Deshaun Watson has only the 6-game suspension, which also let me just point out to Deshaun Watson, you're a disgusting man. If Deshaun Watson's only getting 6 games, I think they're going to be average. If Deshaun Watson is not going to be playing it all this year, then Cleveland would go to bad. But as of right now, as it stands, I'm gonna go average for Cleveland. Dallas, the Cowboys are frustrating in more ways than you can think. But then again, this is me speaking as a Packers fan. I'm above and beyond annoyed with how many Cowboys fans will say that they're going to the Super Bowl every single year. Now, don't get me wrong, they are going to be a postseason team, and I think they're going to be ahead of the Cardinals there, but I don't think they are going to, I don't think they're going to win their division. I think they are going to make the postseason, though, just considering the fact that once you get past like the top 4 in the NFC, their team is kind of like everyone else is just kind of mid at best, and Dallas I think is going to be better than all those other teams, and I think they're going to either be, if they don't win the division, they'll be probably a 4 or 5 seed in the NFC. Denver is a lot, like everyone has so much hype on Denver with them getting Russell Wilson, and I will admit I think they're gonna do very, very well, but I don't think that they're gonna make the postseason. I think they're gonna come up just short. Outside, their offensive line is decent. Their defense in general is good but not great in my opinion. Like they'll have games where they'll only give up like 10 points, and then they'll have games where they give up 31. I think Denver, like I said, their offense is going to be much better with Russell Wilson leading the way, but I think they're just going to come up just short of making the postseason. And you got to take in consideration too, they're in a division with the Raiders, the Chiefs, and the Chargers. And really, in my eyes, there's only one way that they can make the postseason, and that's through the wild card. And I don't think they're going to, because I just listed 3 other teams that I think could potentially be playoff bound, maybe even Super Bowl bound. As of right now, I'm going to say that Denver is going to come up just short of making the postseason, but maybe they'll sneak in. I'm not sure. Detroit, again, another puzzling team. Like they actually did a couple of things in the offseason that I think improved their team a lot. They got some targets to help Jared Goff. Their line should be a little bit better. Their defense should be a little bit better. That being said, they're still run by Jared Goff, and Goff is average at best. But that being said, last year they were a bad team, but they still managed to pull off a couple of spoiler wins. So that's why I'm going to put Detroit just behind Carolina in the spoiler category. I think they're going to come up with a couple sneaky wins, but I think they're going to have a bad record. The Packers, I'm saying this as a Packers fan, and this might be one of my longer-ish rants, but I will say right now, Green Bay has a top 10 defense. As of right now, I think Green Bay has an average offense. I will say not having a true number 1 receiver is going to hurt. I think they have enough targets for Aaron Rodgers to spread the ball around evenly to be able to kind of keep defenses on their toes. With the addition of having Sammy Watkins, if Watkins can stay healthy, that's huge. And plus you still have Aaron Jones, you have AJ Dillon, Robert Tonyan when he comes back. Like they have a lot of pieces, and like I said, I think their defense as of right now, barring injury, is probably a top 10 defense, maybe even a top 5. So with that being said, I'm gonna say Green Bay is a Super Bowl bound team. And I know people are going to say that I'm a little biased with that, but honestly, even if outside fans looking in, outside Packer fans looking in, you look at them on paper and you go, outside of the wide receiver group, what don't they have? And I really can't picture too many weaknesses. The Houston Texans, I'll be perfectly honest, outside of Brandon Cooks, wait, hold on, I need to see something here quick. Yeah, they have nobody. They don't have a whole lot on their roster here. If Davis Mills is going to be their starting quarterback, I think they're going to be the number 1 pick. I don't think they're going to have any chance of doing that good this year. I'm just going to chalk it up right now. I could easily see like the Falcons being in the number 1 pick. I have one other team that I think could potentially be the number 1 pick, but Houston on paper is just a bad team. I mean, literally in the NFL draft, they'll have their positions needed category, and literally for the Texans, it said everything. I think that's enough to show you that the Texans are pretty much going to be number 1, are going to be holding the number 1 draft pick again this year. The Indianapolis Colts, I think they are going to win the AFC North. No, South. Excuse me. My apologies. I think the Indianapolis Colts are going to win the AFC South. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to keep riding that high of his amazing record last year. I think they're going to do really good, and with Matt Ryan at the helm, I think they have a legitimate shot of not only making the postseason, they could potentially go far and maybe surprise a couple of teams. Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville, despite the fact they added a lot of pieces, I don't think they really added too many playmakers. Even with having the number 1 pick and drafting Walker, they did get some good players in the draft, but I don't think any of them are going to be really good playmakers in terms of making them anywhere close to being an average team. I think they'll definitely have more wins than they had last year, especially now that they actually have a coach that doesn't just,
Despite the Jaguars not playing today, the team's coach is still making headlines. News for Jack Sports anchor Cole Pepper joins us. Cole, Urban Meyer is getting a lot of unwanted attention.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And it's all because of a 7-second video that was posted to social media last night showing Meyer at what appears to be the Urban Meyer Chop House in Columbus, Ohio. This video of Meyer, apparently taken at his restaurant in Columbus, shows a woman, not his wife, getting up close and personal. The video has been viewed over 500,000 times on Twitter alone. The Jaguars say that they will have no comment on the video today.
Had already occurred. It's not like it was worse even, Key. It was worse than what Dan was like. He's like, 4 more weeks, something else terrible is going to happen. Nah, the terrible thing already happened. He didn't need 4 weeks. He was done. It's crazy.
That's not disgusting, but I don't think Jacksonville is going to be that good of a team. I think they're still a couple years behind, or a couple of years left in them before they start getting to be a potential playoff team. 2022 is not, they're going to be their year. Kansas City, they're the team that most people, I would probably say outside of Buffalo or Cincinnati, that would be Super Bowl bound. I'm going to say right now, the Chiefs are going to go into the postseason. I think they're a better team than the Colts, but I don't think they're going to win their division because I think the Chargers are going to win their division. I can see both of these teams doing really good in the postseason and just dominating teams in the regular season. The only thing that's going to hurt them the most is the fact that they're going to have to play each other twice, as well as Broncos and the Raiders. They're going to have to play each other everyone that's going to have to play each other at least twice. That's a potential 2 to 6 losses that each team's going to have to potentially suffer. I think Kansas City is a really good team, but they're going to miss Tyreek Hill a lot more than I think they will. And if they don't get their running game figured out, I don't think they're going to have that good of a year. Or they're still going to have a good year, and they're going to potentially end up making the Super Bowl, depending on how everything else goes. But I think the Chargers, with everything that they added on defense and having pretty much one of the most complete offenses in the league, you have great receivers, you have a good running game, and if Justin Herbert can make that push to get them some playoff wins, I think the Chargers are going to end up winning the AFC West, with Kansas City breathing down their neck. Last year's winning Super Bowl team, the LA Rams, I think they're probably going to be Super Bowl bound again. If Green Bay doesn't make it, I think the Rams are going to be in the Super Bowl again, as long as Matt Stafford's elbow holds up. Their offense is still really good. Their defense is still really damn good. As far as everything else that the Rams have, their line, their quarterback, I think they're probably as close to a complete team outside of Green Bay and Buffalo. And I think the Rams have a really good shot of repeating as Super Bowl champs. The Raiders, the team that broke my heart by getting Devontae Adams in trade. The Raiders are going to have another really good year. I think now that John Gruden's gone, and they hopefully have gotten rid of all the bad luck with some of these players that they drafted and just all the trouble that they've had, I think the Raiders are probably going to be one of the closest teams to making the postseason on this list, but I think they're gonna just miss it, just because they are in arguably the toughest division in the entire NFL. Despite the fact that they added Devontae Adams, they have a solid offense. Their defense is still kind of shaky, and I just don't like Josh McDaniels. I don't think he's that good of a coach. I think he gets a lot more credit than he deserves. He'll be good for the offense because that offense is really good. I don't think they're gonna have enough to really make that extra push. And I think they're gonna, despite the fact that they made the postseason last year and they almost knocked off Cincinnati, I think they're gonna come up just short, but I think they still are probably gonna have a winning record. Miami, I think it's really dependent. They're kind of like Cleveland in a way, just without the, the alleged sexual assaults. As far as like an overall team, I think Miami has a lot of the pieces, but it's really going to depend on their quarterback play. If Tua can make that next step, Miami should be a good team, but as of right now, I'm just off of what I'm seeing on paper, I'm going to put them in average, but I think they could potentially be a team that comes up just short of making the postseason. Minnesota, this is the one that hurts me probably the most because, all right, so as a Packer fan, I'm going to put it this way. I don't like Chicago, but I respect Chicago. I don't like Detroit, but I pity them. I don't like Minnesota, and I absolutely despise them, considering the fact that all they do is cheer and act like they're going to do something in the postseason, and they don't have any Super Bowls. I think Minnesota is just my least favorite team in the entire NFL. That being said, they always find a way to do some sneaky good in there. As far as any teams that can potentially win the NFC North, Minnesota's the next best team. I'm gonna put Minnesota right now in average. Actually, no. As much as it pains me, I think they're gonna just be short of the postseason this year. I think Dalvin Cook is going to do really good. I think Justin Jefferson is going to do really well. It's really make or break for Kirk Cousins, though, because if he doesn't find a way to make the postseason, then I think he's probably going to be gone. But as of right now, Kirk Cousins is still a pretty good quarterback. All the pieces that they have right now, I think Minnesota is going to be good, and they could potentially fight for that last playoff spot, but I think they're going to come up just short. The Patriots, Bill Belichick always finds a way. He always finds a way to make the postseason. I don't understand how he always finds a way to get there, but he finds a way to get there. The New Orleans Saints. My second favorite team in the entire NFL. I think Jameis Winston is going to have a good year, considering the fact that Michael Thomas should be back. They got Chris Olave. They have some good targets. I think if Alvin Kamara doesn't get suspended, their team should be really good. Their defense is still pretty solid. Their team in general should be good. It's just dependent on whether or not Jameis Winston can make that step. I don't think they're going to, though. I think they're going to be just short of making the postseason. They're gonna be like a 9-8 or 10-7 team, and they're just gonna come up just short. And the only reason I say that right now, because despite the fact that they're gonna be facing Carolina and Atlanta twice, they're gonna be facing Tampa Bay twice, and that could potentially be 2 losses right there. So I think right now they're gonna be just short. I think right now, if I were to put money on it, I would say either New Orleans or Arizona will make that 7 spot. But as of right now, I think Arizona's just got more pieces than New Orleans does. The Giants, I'm just gonna rank them both. I'm just gonna do that, and I'm gonna do that. Like, they're both bad. The Giants and the Jets, both New York teams, are just bad. Now, don't get me wrong, they killed it in the draft this year. They had some really good pieces in that first round, but Daniel Jones, I don't think, is a good quarterback, and they still are missing a lot of other pieces in for the Giants. The Jets are just in a rebuilding mode right now, and unless they really find some players that make that next step, I don't think they're going to do good. But I will say still, Zach Wilson is a dog, and I respect that. Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia will be the NFC East champions this year. I think they're going to take that from Dallas. I think they did enough offensively and defensively to make them a good playoff team, but I could easily see I know one of these two teams has to win the division, but I could easily see both of them just being in here and somehow both of them don't make the postseason. I think both of them will make the postseason, and I think that is how it's going to... Actually, I'm going to do it there. I think that's how it's going to look right now. I think the Patriots are going to be just a little bit better than the Eagles, but I could easily see that. But I think Philly is going to make the postseason, but I don't think they're going to do anything in the postseason. Pittsburgh Steelers, they just always find a way to do. They always find a way to overachieve. They always find a way to overachieve. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They still have some good, solid players on their team. And somehow, I don't think they're going to, in my head, I don't think they're going to do that good. But somehow on paper, like in the game, they'll find a way to at least be an average team. I think Seattle's going to be the number 2 seed in the... I'm sorry. I think they're going to be the number 2 overall pick in the draft this year. And I say that begrudgingly because I have DK Metcalf on a couple of my fantasy rosters right now. But unless Rashad Penny goes absolutely bananas like he did in the at the end of the season last year, I don't think their offense is going to be that good with Drew Lock or Geno Smith or whoever the hell they're planning on taking for taking under center. Their line is not good. Their defense isn't that good. I think they are probably the only other team I would put into getting the number 1 pick, but I won't do that because Houston is just that bad. The 49ers, I think right now as it is, they're probably going to be going Trey Lance, and I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be traded. I'm going to say right now that San Francisco is going to do good, but I don't think they're going to go to the NFC Championship like they did last year. At least I hope not. I think they're going to be better than literally all the other teams here on the back half of the playoff teams. I think they're going to be, actually I think they could even be better than the Patriots, but it's really, again, I've said it 1,000 times at this point, it's really dependent on the quarterback play, and if Trey Lance can prove to be a good quarterback, then San Francisco is going to be a scary ass team. But if he does not perform to expectations, then I think they're going to be in trouble. Tampa Bay, oh shit. Tampa Bay, you have Tom Brady. You're automatically already there. Like, it doesn't matter. Tom Brady will find. Tom Brady is the Bill Belichick on the field. They find a way. They find a way to make their teams good. They find a way to make the postseason, and somehow they'll find a way to make the championship. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised this year, and I quote me on this now, I wouldn't be surprised if we somehow end up seeing Tampa Bay versus New England in the Super Bowl, just because I think that's just some weird wackadoo shit that's going to happen. Tom Brady and Tampa Bay, they'll find a way to do good. I think they're probably going to end up being at least the 3 seed in the NFC, and potentially fighting for a postseason spot. It depends on if they meet the Rams or the Packers in the next round. Tennessee was the number 1 seed in the AFC last year, but like Green Bay, they completely blew it. But at least in Green Bay's situation, special teams and some poor quarterback play for Aaron Rodgers screwed them over. On Tennessee's side, they sacked Joe Burrow 9 times. And they lost. And then what did they do in the offseason? They traded their best wide receiver and drafted another one and got Robert Woods and Austin Hooper. I think Tennessee is going to be just short of the postseason. I will say right now, I think Tennessee, actually, I think I'd probably even put Tennessee there of just missing the postseason. If I didn't think New England was going to have a shot of making the postseason, Tennessee would be in that playoff spot right now. But unless Derrick Henry just completely steamrolls over everyone, and he has a very good chance of doing so, but if he gets hurt, Tennessee's offense is done. If he doesn't get hurt, I think Tennessee could easily make a postseason spot or make a postseason run. I don't think if they do, though, they won't be the number 1 seed. But as of right now, I don't think they have the pieces to do so, hence why I'm putting them in just short. And the Washington Commanders. The Commanders, oh boy. Again, they're kind of like Washington. They are Washington. The Commanders are kind of like Pittsburgh in a way. I think they're average. I think right now, if Carson Wentz can prove that he's worthy of a starting quarterback spot, Washington will at least be average. They have a good running game. They have a semi-decent line. Their wide receivers are good, and their front line on the defense is probably the scariest one in the entire league, especially if Chase Young is healthy. But having Carson Wentz as your starting quarterback, I don't think they're going to have a winning record. I think they're going to be another team that's a spoiler. I think Washington will be bad, but I think they'll still pull off a couple like random upsets. But again, it's really dependent on Carson Wentz and if he decides he actually wants to be a good quarterback or not. And at this point, I think he's probably the biggest question mark outside of Jared Goff in terms of, am I a good quarterback? But yeah, here is my list of the NFL teams right now. I think as of right now, if it were up to me, I'd probably say Buffalo for sure is going to the Super Bowl, and then either the Rams or the Packers. I'm hoping it's the Packers, but who knows? I think Cincinnati, the Chargers, and the Chiefs, I think all of them have like legitimate cases for going to the Super Bowl. Same with Tampa Bay. I think the rest of these teams are going to do good. I think these teams are going to be at least solid. I think these teams are going to at least be semi-decent. I think this is going to be your top 10 draft picks this year. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Did I make the list right, or did I screw up somewhere? I'm pretty sure I'm going to have someone in the comments saying otherwise. But yeah, this is the list that I have, and yeah, just let me know what you think. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new, and also follow me on all the social media platforms down below in the description to keep up with everything else that I do. Yeah, just let me know if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. But that is all I got for tonight. This is B-RAD the Man, signing out. Peace.